every aspect of life, we will seek evidence.
Correct, yes.
Except when it comes to collectively what we call religion.
Because you're relying on faith.
Who told us that?
I think the book has told us that, or so you're saying the clerics have told you that?
Not the clerics.
Interpretation.
If you think about it,
Yes.
it is the prevailing cultural understanding that has determined this.
I see.
Look at, as an example, I was talking to an atheist, yeah? And he tells me, yeah, but you have got faith. I said, actually, I don't subscribe to the word faith, nor do I subscribe to the word religion.
Right, okay.
Now, how are you going to deal with me?
With some great difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true though. But I sincerely don't. I don't subscribe to the word religion, and I don't subscribe to the word faith. So on what basis have we arrived at this understanding?
Well, I think then you have to not attack you, that's not the right word.
I understand what you mean.
To discuss with you
Yes.
on a more general sense. Like, for example, the question I would oppose then, you say that you're a Muslim,
Yes.
and there's certain beliefs that you have.
Yes.
By definition. Is there anything that change in the world, or any new evidence that can arise that you can think of, may change your mind about what you hold firmly to be true?
I can any evidence, yeah, and my perspective is entirely based on evidence and its assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, if I were to come across evidence, yes, and that evidence then becomes incontrovertible, and it clearly contradicts what is not established incontrovertibly yet, yes, I am willing to change my mind, yes.
I'm very impressed.
But this is not me saying it, this is what the Quran is telling me to do.
But I'm surprised even more now that that book says it.
But this is the amazing thing.
I would think that it'd be you saying it.
Yeah, no.
Because that's your
understanding. Yeah, but no. But this is what I'm saying.
We're videotaping.
Brother, the thing is, I'm sorry to interfere. You have good talk, and I think you deserve a cup of tea. So I make a cup of tea for you. I'm going to make a cup of tea. I make a cup of tea with tea travel 120 miles.
MashaAllah. Then I'm wanting the tea. I'm wanting the tea.
Some spicy tea.
Yeah,
some chai.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So no, you see, the Quran actually is telling you this. Yeah.
So
it is telling you that, look, consider this. When somebody asks evidence. Now, if you at the start I said, if we have a yardstick whose information for us to definitively establish whether it is entirely correct or not is going to be entirely dependent on the evidence that is available, then I am willing to accept that. And the Quran is telling us. But here is what it goes further to say, that look, when you are going to do all this, yes, you may come across things which seem to make you think that they are disagreeing with this.
They seem to be contradictory.
Yeah, it seems to be contradictory, but it itself is saying, look, you are going to discover into there and into there and into here until it will be correct. So now, to me, I would assess any evidence. Yeah. So here is a classic example, you know, and you touched on it about alcohol.
Yeah.
The Quran mentions alcohol and intoxicants generally 3 places. The first one says, they ask you concerning intoxicants. You know, it's talking third person because the Prophet is being asked. Yeah. He says, tell humanity, in it there is good and there is bad. The bad outweighs the good.
Okay.
Statement 1. Statement 2 then says, O you who believe, come not near prayer when you are in a state of intoxication. Statement 3. It is now being told to you that this is not the work of a normal human being that should be taking on this. Stop. Do not indulge in intoxicants. Okay? Now, the first one says there's good and bad. The second one is a practical situation telling you, you know, when you are like this, don't try and pray. Yeah, don't come near. The third one says, look, this is not for human beings. Shun it completely. Yeah? Many years ago, the research showed that having 4 or 5 Jazakallah.
The tea travel only 120 miles, and the milk.
Birmingham.
Milk I put it travel 2,000 miles. He went to Turkey and come
Turkey.
back.
Ah, mashallah. Is it safe to drink? Jazakallah. Jazakallah, uncle.
Shall I bring you a sandwich?
No. Jazakallah. No, this is more than enough.
Okay.
Yeah? Sorry about that. We will share this, Sanjay. You sure? Yeah, have some. Chao se. Gujarati bolo ne. Jarak cha. Yeah, try some, brother. No problem. No. It's no. How is it? Good. Chai chalegi.
Just like my mom.
That's exactly. Yeah. So you, as we are talking about it, you see, when it talks about that alcohol, a few years ago, research was done, and it was found that an X amount of alcohol was good for you.
Yes, I think they found.
Then the research showed them that the units that were quoted are not good. Reduce them. They reduce them. Recently, especially for pregnant women, they were told completely shun it. Yeah. Now, question is arising. When the research done, as we have agreed, when new evidence arises, the conclusion that was formulated in the scientific community
was different,
and it has to change. But now you will notice from what I had said that we are progressively coming to the very answer that's contained in the Quran, where it says about shunning it. So far now we have come to people who are driving, don't drink and drive. Women who are pregnant, don't drink and drive. I can of a surety and with certainty tell you, brother, that going down the line we will come across the conclusion that alcohol or intoxicants of any kind must not be used by human beings. They must not be consumed at all. Now, the problem is, it is a derivation here. We are deriving understanding. Yeah? Now, here's another problem. You know, and you mentioned it rightfully, that maximum we can live to is 100 years. About 100 years. And your logic about the next generation, entirely true, we develop. But in a lifespan of 100 years, average, how much do you think we can learn?
We can't learn everything, but...
You're right, can't. But now the question arises, how, if I can't learn everything, on what basis will I live my life? Can you just hold it, brother? Sorry.
It's quite strong.
No, I get this tickle and then I go for it. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Yeah, so now...
So what basis you live your life?
On what basis should I live my life?
Well...
As an example, back to the one about the... Well, she doesn't know. The wife won't know I've had an intimate relationship with one.
Yes.
And it's only one lifetime anyway, so why not make the most of it? What do you think?
You may think, in that particular example, you may think that by doing that act, that you got away with something, right? And that's what it may feel like initially, because she doesn't know, right? So what she doesn't know won't hurt. Is that it actually you?
Are you making a subjective assessment here?
No, that everyone says the same thing. When they do something wrong and they keep thinking about it, that keep thinking about it is the punishment for doing something wrong.
Well, why a punishment?
Well, punishment is not the right word, but it causes them problems in the future.
But why?
Because they feel that they've broken a marriage vow.
But why should I?
Why should it be? Because you made a promise.
That promise that I made was a convenient promise.
Yeah, okay, if you're the type of person who makes convenient promises, then from your point of view, you've done nothing wrong and it hasn't affected you.
But do you think logically there's anything wrong with it?
Not that person.
I know you are not, but I'm not asking about you as a person.
I would think they've done something wrong.
No, why do you think that?
Okay, why? Because generally, I think if you make a promise... because if you make a promise... Okay, where do you derive your morals from, basically? Like, okay. I try to live my life to maximize the good.
Whose benefit?
Because when other people are happy, I am also happy.
I'm happy when I do what I want.
If you're like a sociopath who is happy when you do
Why
what
have you
want,
categorized me as a
no,
sociopath?
because sociopaths are people who are happy. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks, as long as they're happy. You know, like Rupert Murdoch.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Australian.
Yes.
Yeah, but can you see now?
Yes.
If I live like that, is there anything inherently wrong with it?
Well, she may find out. It may disrupt the family unit, cause a chain reaction of problems.
Have you heard of Jimmy Savile?
He's that BBC children.
Yeah, he used to be.
Yeah,
Well, nobody found out anything until he died.
correct. But
Does that mean he was
caused a lot of
okay?
problems, but the people that he affected,
There you are.
there's a chain reaction.
Absolutely, there was. What he did. But if I have got what you call consensual elements involved, am I damaging anybody?
No. In absolute terms, you're not.
Did you just say absolute terms?
For this example, if, let's say, on the condition that your wife doesn't find out, that you don't care about it after that point, and it doesn't affect that woman's life who you had the affair with, then you haven't you've not changed the course of any.
Absolutely. So if I take it that way, and I have consensual relationships,
Yes.
I consensually steal. Work that one out. Yes.
I don't know how you can do that.
Yeah. But if I have agreement, is it still good?
It is still good. Well, it is.
Exactly. So why don't you get my?
I would say that
Why don't you get my melody?
you cause happiness for yourself, you cause happiness for the woman that you're with, and your wife is unchanged. Then overall, something good has happened.
Excellent. So is that okay?
Well, in that scenario that was given, I guess it's okay.
Now, if absolutely.
You
But
see-
now, if I were to develop rules based on this understanding, would there be a problem?
Okay, now the rules are developed because generally, probability-wise, it doesn't happen as cleanly as that.
It doesn't, does it?
It doesn't.
Okay.
So that's why there are rules.
Agreed. Suppose we were a society which finds nothing wrong with it.
No.
Which finds nothing wrong with it. Well, I would have a problem with that because probability-wise,
Yes.
it causes more problems. It does more harm than it does good.
Agreed. But it seems like you are working on an invisible yardstick here.
Because
What would that be?
Because I think the yardstick. The yardstick is
Yes.
the overall happiness in the world.
Overall happiness. But I just said that if I take that view, and this whole park just decides that the kind of consensual element I talked about is what we should have in vogue,
Yes.
is that okay?
If it increases the overall happiness, then I would say, like a Swedish person.
Yeah, it's okay. But now, if I were to follow that logically to its conclusion,
Yes, to
and
maximize happiness.
yeah, and we have a state where you want to maximize happiness,
Yes.
is it logically reasonably possible?
It would be very difficult the way humans are, because you have to, because you're limited by humans are not humans act in their self-interest. Okay, so that'll mess that up, and they're not all altruistic.
Yes.
So
Correct.
that'll mess it up. That's why you have rules.
Now,
Like don't steal. You know, like when no one's looking, they're more likely to do things.
and if no one's looking, is there anything wrong with it?
If no one's, well, I think going back to the example, I think it would hurt that person
Yeah.
who's stealing in the long
Yes.
term.
And it
Whether
would
they
hurt the
realize
person
it or not.
who they stole from.
And who they're stole from as well. Like you
Now-
steal a sweet or whatever.
Now,
from,
absolutely. Now take all the human frailties into consideration. Yes? We would all want to look for a system that is just. My contention is that for a system like that, it necessarily ought to be external to the understanding of human beings,
Okay.
for it to be totally impartial.
external.
Has to be. Because look, if we take the world quickly, yeah. Do you know the World Trade Organization?
Yes.
Yeah. It determines certain things and how trade should take place worldwide, internationally. You will find there are certain rules or contracts that what we call the third world has to sign, which are entirely unjust.
Yeah, I agree.
How come we allow it to happen?
Because might is right. That's why.
Absolutely. Now, can that be impartial?
No, it's not impartial.
Can any civilization which is on its superior end be, yeah.
Yes. No, it can never be entirely
Now,
impartial.
there is a serious problem I have now, because if I assess matters from that lens, I come to the conclusion that, wait a minute, it is impossible for human beings, knowing our nature, to be able to derive rules which are entirely fair for all human beings.
That's correct. I agree with that.
But if I have got this issue arising in my understanding, then I am of the opinion necessarily and logically that there has to be an answer to it.
But there may not be an answer to it. It may change over time. Like, for example, in the Quran, there may be a rule where if you divide the inheritance of someone, then the male child gets more than the female child.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, that might have been okay 1,000 years ago. That system may have been a fairly sensible system.
Yes.
But in the 21st century, that may not be the best system. And if you still follow it,
agreed,
then you're not being very flexible.
Agreed. But if the system is there, and the system allows flexibility in it,
if it's flexible, then
there isn't a problem. Now, you will also note that if you look at Islam, there are what you call schools of thought, opinions. Yeah. Now, they have only been derived because you have got an understanding from a particular statement, yes, and that understanding has arisen in as an example, 4 different people, and their opinions on what the rule actually is trying to make you understand is different. Now, is that still within the criteria as laid down, or is it outside the criteria? I would venture to suggest that it is still within the criteria, and if that is the case, then the flexibility required, for what you just said, is entirely there and appropriate. So today, if I were to look and say, okay, I am told X must have so much of inheritance, Y must have so much. Am I free to increase this? Well, the answer is yes.
You are free to do it.
Yeah, so there isn't a problem. However, the problem arises if, as you pointed out, you insist this is the demarcation line. No matter how unreasonable you sound, I am not going to accept. That becomes an injustice. Now, here is the logic. If the very system requires that you try and not be unjust to people, then you have to address that very issue and arrive at an understanding. But that understanding, as you rightly pointed out, collectively has to do with the benefit of human beings, for the benefit of human beings. Now,
I'll give you like another example that's external.
Sure.
Like, for example, in court, and I don't know if this is just cultural or whether it's in the Quran or Hadith where if a man is giving evidence on a case, then his evidence can't be balanced by one woman. It has to be more than one man. So that, to me, immediately would seem very unjust. They're both witnesses to the same events.
Agreed.
So is there any flexibility?
Yes, there is.
In that?
Yeah, there is. These and I do tend to, Jazakallah. I do tend to, when issues like this come up, I do tend to say to the brothers and sisters I discuss with that, look, you must try and appreciate that where there is a system, that system, if it is contained within the covers of a book, that system, by definition, is going to include everything that governs every human interaction in society and internationally. Locally and internationally. Yeah? So, if you are going to find... Oh, yeah? If you lucky person? Yeah, absolutely.
You must have something.
Yeah?
Everybody deserves something.
Jazakallah. Jazakallah. Yeah? So, you see, the system will necessarily also include the legal elements.
Yes, I agree.
The law of inheritance is a legal issue. Yeah? The law of witnessing is a legal issue. So, for example, in Australian courts of law or in the UK courts of law, they are, it is, but there are certain criteria for witnesses. Yeah? Why do they have the criteria? Why can't anybody just be a witness?
Well, you have to be a person who's relevant to the case.
You got it in one. Absolutely. Now, this issue about the witnessing of one man is equal to two women, nothing of the kind in Islam. There is flexibility. There is one issue which was addressed, yeah, about financial issues, where it is said there should be two ladies if there is no man. Yeah. What is it about financial issues which we need to address to consider what the import is of this?
I think it's may have to do with dowry, may have to do with bringing up children.
It may have to do with a lot of things, including the natural physiological situation of ladies. There are many aspects, but that's not the issue. The issue is, in any other cases, the women would be permitted. So there isn't this. No, there isn't. And, but again, it's a question of what is being given in the mass media as opposed to what the evidence actually says.
It's like I said at the start.
Absolutely, yes.
I think, look, from a person outside of the religions, I'd be more impressed with people who actually follow their religion than those that are pretending to follow their religion. Okay, so generally, I don't want to do that.
I know what you mean.
But generally, Christians don't know what's in the Bible.
True.
Okay.
True.
But what I found in Hyde Park, Muslims know what is in the Quran. So from that point of view, just from the point of if you're passionate about something, about anything, it's always I find more impressive if a person is into it.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree.
But then again, as Sam Harris said, Sam Harris said that people who are religious and moderates are easy to live with, easier to live with than people that are fundamentalists in their religion. Because the moderates don't know the thinking of the fundamentalists. They don't know what it's really like to be in that mode, and they will be much more flexible in their beliefs. Like Catholics who use contraception and so on. You know, so they're easier to if you're religious yourself.
You know, oddly enough,
it's a bit of a catch-22.
I see what you mean. But you know what the odd thing is? The definitions of moderate, liberal, and fundamentalist, are they in the Quran?
They're probably not.
Well, here's a problem then. We are being told about a group of people using a source which is entirely not available within the system that they accept. Is that logical? It isn't, is it? But
so it's similar, like so in a similar way, you've got say secular Muslim states where they may not adhere to the Quran and Hadiths exactly. And on the other scale, you have people who are like, say, ISIS, who are doing things that are also against the Quran. Because I realize that they're not actually, just like when Christians are, when Hitler's killing people and he's a Christian, and says he's a Christian, he's not supposed to kill, thou shalt not kill. Well then, Christians are first to say, oh, he
was not a Christian, absolutely.
But I've noticed when Muslims say those ISIS people are not Muslim, then no one believes them.
No, absolutely.
They use that as a standard.
Having said that, you see, if you look at the parties concerned, the way I view it is, look, as a doctor, and I'm just using the example because we are familiar with the subject matter, as a doctor, it would be unwise for me to insist on telling that's not how it should be. This is how it should be. And you ask me, and what are your credentials? I don't have any, but I'm telling you, it shouldn't be like that.
Okay.
You are going to think, yeah, okay, fair enough. You need a psychological assessment, go on. Yeah, that's what would happen. Okay? Now, the logic here is, and I find it strange, even with Sam Harris, okay? Intelligent guy,
Yes.
yes? But completely goes funny, I mean that in a respectful way, when it comes to what you would call collectively religion. Now, here is the problem, brother Sanjay. I said already, I don't subscribe to the word religion. I don't subscribe. Now, can that be addressed to me?
Well, if you subscribe to those things, no.
It doesn't. But why don't I subscribe to it? Because the system I am talking about now, advocating,
Yes.
tells me that it isn't what they are claiming it is. Now, in all fairness, brother, I always say this. Look, the fundamentalist, the liberal Muslim,
Yes.
or the moderate
Yes.
doesn't know what it is like. How do you know? For a start, why have you determined me to be a moderate? Simply because I am telling you something which sounds palatable to you. I don't mean you personally.
Now, I
Yeah?
would class you as moderate because of one statement you made, that you said it is possible, improbable,
Yeah?
that there's something that can change the world,
Yes.
something that can happen,
Yeah.
that would change your mind about
Yes.
it.
Absolutely.
But that, to my mind, that makes you a moderate.
Why?
Because if you're fundamentalist, from what I know of fundamentalism,
Yes.
you would not change your mind no matter what.
Excellent. But now, don't you think that that determination ought to be by establishing what the criteria is from the system itself?
Yes, yes.
It's logical, isn't it? If the criteria is establishing for you how a person ought to be seen, then the very idea of this division of moderate, secular, fundamentalist disappears. Because then you would have to see the individual from the lens of the criteria or the yardstick. It is as simple as that. So you know, when I said to you that, look, I'm willing to change, but I know that all the evidence that is going to be found will actually agree with what the system says. But it doesn't mean I'm going to close my eyes off. Yeah,
Right.
there may be a possibility. There may be, yeah,
Right.
a possibility that something will come along. Yeah. Now there's an
Like, for example, if
Yeah.
Jesus comes down on the clouds, like whatever,
Absolutely.
and says
yeah.
that Christianity is the true religion, and I'll do a couple of miracles for you to
Yeah.
prove it.
Now look at this. What you are addressing has already been addressed in the system. It actually says that there is going to be an individual. Now how true this is, only the evidence will show. Okay? But for the purpose of the discussion, it actually says that there is going to come an individual who is going to wield what we would call such power
Yes.
that he will consider himself to be God, and human beings will have no choice but to believe simply because of the actions that the person has undertaken. Yes? However, the believer, I use the word, yes, if the guy adheres to the system and the system has forewarned him about individuals like this, what do you think?
Then people would be skeptical of that being.
But that is what we have got. So if a person came claiming to be Jesus Christ, and he says, I am God, Christianity is correct. The yardstick is telling me, just a simple one,
Right.
Christ Jesus never claimed he was God, never claimed he was this, that, and the other.
Yes.
So as soon as he starts, the first question is, wait a minute, can you elaborate on your claims,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I realize that there's a confusion there.
There would be a
I realize
confusion.
there's
Yeah,
confusion.
of course.
But
So,
in Christianity, say they have a very strict.
oh, are you okay, look after yourself, inshallah, yeah?
Sanjay,
Have a safe journey. Yeah?
pleasure. Next time, inshallah. God willing.
Maybe next time.
Is that brother, is he with you?
Yeah, we brought him along with
Is
us.
it?
Yeah, from Birmingham.
I thought so. Right, okay, say goodbye to, yeah,
But-
sorry.
But because I know less about Islam than I
Yeah.
know about Christianity, is it possible for a non-Muslim
Yeah.
to get into heaven under the Islamic system just by doing good deeds?
That's me.
Oh, goodness.
You can have a look.
I'll have a
Yeah, you see, here is a question, okay? Can he? Yeah? I would say exactly what the system tells me.
Okay.
The system entirely tells me
Yes.
that I as a human being can never ever determine what is going to happen to any human being because that is the realm of the creator.
Right, that's the
Yeah?
providence of the Creator.
Now, if
Okay.
I look at a statement which suggests that that may not happen,
Yeah.
I have to address